Metrosexual redneck. Gary Groman's here with us. Speaking of metrosexual redneck.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Do you know what that is, Gary? A metrosexual redneck.
I had a foggiest idea what it is. Metrosexual scares me to death.
Well, I'm kind of the spokesman for that. I think I kind of made that up, right?
Yes.
There's a metrosexual, and then there's a redneck.
What's a metrosexual? Could you define that?
So I'm a metrosexual redneck, right? Oh, what's a metrosexual?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you my explanation. It may say something different. Should we read let's see what Google says, and then I'll see if we agree with Google, right? Because I don't know if I've ever really looked that up. Have you ever looked it up, honey?
We did a long time ago, I think.
Let's see.
I think, when you first said it.
Metrosexual. Huh?
I think when you first said it.
Okay. The term metrosexual describes a man who is especially concerned with his personal style, grooming, and appearance, and who often lives in an urban culture. It is often used to describe heterosexual men who are perceived to be what is that? What? What is that?
Effeminate.
Effeminate. What does that mean?
Feminine, kind of.
Oh, feminine. Yeah.
Kinda.
Okay. A little feminine.
Yes.
Rather than adhering to stereotypical masculinity standards. The term can also be used to describe men who are interested in fashion and grooming in a way that is often seen as being similar to women. The term was created in 1990s but became more prominent in the mid-2010s. Some say that the term can be used in a derogatory way, reinforcing stereotypes of masculinity. Others say that the term has had an impact and changed the way we perceive masculinity.
That would be a little deep for me.
Yeah.
I think I know what a hormone is. I know I don't have it anymore. And at my age, I'm lucky to get up in the morning, let alone worry about all that stuff.
So I took the term because I'm a country boy, I'm hick, I'm redneck, but also I have a lot of these feminine type. Well, I don't know if it's feminine.
Yeah.
Is it feminine?
Yeah.
Is it?
What would you say that I do that has feminine side
I think it's
to it?
just because when I get up in the morning, I'm lucky if I even see my hair.
Uh-huh.
He will have a full spa day before he gets out for the day.
Yeah. Well, I like to keep my nails groomed good. I like, I moisturize. Do you moisturize? You like lotion your face, Gary?
No, just what comes from the shower, that's about it.
That's it.
I'm sorry. I mean, I know what you're looking for, but I can't give it to you.
I like to trim my arm hairs. I don't like my arm hairs to get real bushy, so I kind of keep that trimmed. And what else? I mean, I don't know.
He'll go through about 5 shirts before he finds the final one.
Now, this is true.
I have no idea what I put on in the mornings because it's dark.
A lot of times Tina comes to work with 2 different shoes on.
Yeah.
Or her shirt's inside out, or it'll be like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She'll walk by a mirror and go, "Oh my God, I don't think I ever brushed my hair today."
I think I'm more attuned with the way Tina lives life than you.
Yeah, right. So actually, I think I'm the woman in this relationship, is what I'm trying to say, Gary.
How many kids do you have?
With 3.
Well, there's some had to work out in there. That's all I'm going to say.
So anyhow, that's the whole.
Yeah.
Now we know you are not a metrosexual redneck.
Yes.
I can't even pronounce it.
I know. Well, so Gary.
That was a good way to start.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Gary Groman here, the old Seagull. Now, Gary, how long have you been in the area? Were you born and raised here?
No, I was born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. Joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, and I haven't been back to Connecticut in 50 years. I haven't lost anything there.
Wow, you were born in Connecticut.
Yep. As far south as I could get.
I've never.
That was Long Island Sound, and that was it. So
I've never been to Connecticut. I hear there's some beautiful areas.
Oh, there is. New England does have some beautiful areas. It's also got a lot of people, and it was overcrowded when I was born. It's probably more so now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So you moved to Branson what year?
I moved to Branson in 1986 after visiting here every year since 1975.
That's the year I came, 86. I'll be dang. And How long did you serve in the Marines?
I was in the Marine Corps 9.75 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well,
Yeah.
it was my pleasure.
Yeah.
It actually worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I met my wife. She was a Navy lieutenant, married a Marine Corps corporal, and 60 years.
Wow.
Y'all, y'all been married 60 years?
Yep.
Holy cow.
60 years last January. Kind of, we hadn't caught COVID. We hadn't had COVID.
Still?
No, we hadn't had it.
Okay.
Then the family was planning, we didn't know it, but they were having a surprise 60th anniversary celebration for us. And I got COVID the Friday before and didn't know. I thought we were just having, my Christmas gift to the family every year is we have a big family pizza party and everybody comes in and when everybody can get off and that's what I thought it was going to be. But they were going to surprise me. Well, we all got surprised.
So when you moved to Branson,
Yes.
what did you do for after you left the Marine Corps? What was your work? What did you do?
When I left the Marine Corps, I went to work with the U.S. Treasury Department. I was with IRS, where it was an IRS special agent. We were the only ones that were armed. We were Treasury agents. We went to the same law enforcement school that the Treasury agents went through. In 1968, I was actually on Senator McGovern's bodyguard detail for the '68 Chicago Convention when they had the riots then. So
What?
Yeah, it's a.
I just met a guy at my audience last night from, I don't know where he's from, but he was an IRS agent. I talked to him for 30 minutes after the show. Really interesting cat, but he did the same thing. He did white collar crimes.
Yeah,
You know,
okay. If he was the special agents were at that time the only ones that were armed.
Yeah.
We went to, like I said, we went to Treasury Law Enforcement School. We actually went to the same one Secret Service went to. That's why I left there in '68. I left that, came back to Chicago, was on his convention detail. Then I went back for another 12 weeks of Special Agent Advanced School, and that's where you get your areas of specialty.
Wow, that is so. As the what were your duties as a special agent? What kind of stuff did you do?
Okay. We handled. I worked primarily organized crime, but basically we only handled the criminal aspects. We didn't do the auditing. IRS at that time had this an audit division. They do the auditing. They're the ones that say, "Hey, you owe the tax." Then they have the collection division. They're the ones that they don't care whether you owe it or not. They're just there to collect it. Mm-hmm. And then there was the intelligence division. We were there to investigate criminal violations. Example, if an auditor was auditing and it seemed like it was more than a mistake or something like that, where you were actually criminal activity, then those cases would be referred to us. And
So if there were major red flags, you guys would come in.
yeah, if your doorbell ever rings and there's two people there, one's a revenue agent and the other one shows you a badge and says he's an IRS special agent, get a lawyer.
Get a lawyer.
Get a good lawyer.
Well, if you were doing organized crime and you were in Chicago, you had plenty of work to do.
Oh, it was very interesting. It was very interesting. Back in those days, things that are just way of life today were actually criminal offenses then. I remember we were undercover one night. We were in this bar and went into the restroom, and my partner was with me. And I said, Jack, it's awful crowded in here. He says, Groman, don't you know where we are? I said, we're in a bar and in a restaurant. He said, no, and then he explained what it was, and I realized that I wasn't the only one in the world. My sexual preference wasn't the only one in the world.
Wait, you were in a gay bar and didn't know it?
Did not have the clue. What did I know? I'd been out of the Marine Corps for 6 months at that time. I went to the Marine Corps a month after my 17th birthday. I mean, I was the Vestal Virgin as far as that went. But I tell you, I learned it quick.
Well, there's your headline. The old Seagull stumbles into a gay bar.
Hey,
That's hilarious.
In this day and age, no surprise to me. It'd be just another bar. I mean,
Yeah,
I have a lot of friends that are gay. They're fine people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Different day. Yeah.
but it's a different world, and I don't know, but that it's not a better world in some respects. That we're a little more tolerant. I don't know how far you want to go in certain areas, but I have a problem with certain things. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what? After you left the IRS, what did you do?
after I left the IRS, I went over to air security with the FAA. That was in the days when they were hijacking planes. They were TWA, and it was the first of these hijackings. So the FAA set up an air security program, and they hired a lot of us from other law enforcement agencies to go over there. So I was at O'Hare Field for about 2 years in that program, and then when I got my law degree, I went up to the regional counsel. I was an FAA regional attorney for enforcement actions, and then they sent me down to Oklahoma City to train FAA inspectors on how to investigate hazardous material cases. They were having a lot of problems. After about the sixth time down, they wanted me to go down and teach the course. So I moved to Oklahoma. 4 years later, they made me the program manager. And a year after that, I decided that the best way to prevent hazardous material problems on an airplane was to make sure the hazardous materials didn't get down in the first place. So I left and set up my own business. And it was I did that for about 20 years. I did seminars all over the country. I did in-house seminars, and I handled the legal defense of certain cases when the government was going after people for hazardous material violations.
Wow, that is something.
And I did most of that. I moved my business here in 1986 out of my basement of my house. I had about 6 employees, and I traveled about 31 weeks a year for the first few years I was in Branson.
Wow.
Matter of fact, the first 15 years I was in Branson.
So then, how did you get into doing what you do now, writing and reporting, and when did that all
Well,
come
it certainly
about?
wasn't because of my skill as a writer or knowing grammar. To this day, when do I put a period in? I need a breath. When do I make a paragraph? I want to see some white space. But I sent a letter. I sent a letter to the editor and to Martha Hoy Borner was the editor of the I think it was the Daily Branson News at the time. At that time, it actually printed daily. And I went in to talk to her. He says, "Well, if you want to write," she said, "well, we'll consider publishing it." Well, and I started writing it, and they published it, and all went well until I at that time when Reporter came out. If they were going to take pictures, there was a reporter and a photographer.
Yeah.
I mean, well, what happened? Things started changing. Well, the publisher changed. Martha went out to Silver Dollar City, where she worked with Lisa Rao until she retired many years ago. And I wrote a column asking, why the editor was firing everybody, and the editor brought me into his office, and he wasn't too pleased. I'd never met him. That's the first time I met him. He wasn't too pleased, and he said, "From now on, I'll be reviewing your columns." I told him, "Well, you won't be reviewing too many of them." And I didn't write for about 5 years after that. Then when the Independent came on, I went back, and those guys, there was only one column in all the time that I wrote that they didn't publish, and that was when there was some pretty tricky times going on in Branson. That was with the Doty administration and all that. The one he wouldn't publish is I wrote one on intercept marketing. And I said, look, if you're going to spend money for intercept marketing, make sure you're getting some benefit from it. It doesn't make any difference with this newspaper or anything else. Well, they didn't like that comment.
Huh.
But that was the only one they didn't publish in all those years. I mean, and I had some pretty tricky stuff.
Well, I love all your. Because you speak the truth.
Well, okay. I speak the truth as I understand it and believe it. I'm also wise enough to know. I don't write about what I don't know about, and my whole purpose is just to give people something to think about. Just don't accept things the way it is. People talk about how lousy the government is, yet they don't show up at city meetings. They don't call their aldermen. Well, you get the kind of government you deserve, folks.
That's right. Well, and I think that's what I meant is when you get up speak at City Hall or you write your stuff, you're not afraid to say what you feel or think, right? And like you say, it might not be everybody's belief or truth, but you're not afraid to face conflict in what you believe, right? And I admire that because I like to avoid confrontation. Sometimes it's hard for me to get into a battle sometimes because I just want everybody to get along, and so that's been that's why I'm like, wow, he just gets up here and says that. You go, Gary.
Well, yeah, I mean that works to a point, and I mean, I'm getting a little old. I'm on my last few campaigns right now. When these are over, I've told Lois I'm going to stay home with her. But Yep, I'm 83 years old, and my mind isn't what it used to be. Not that it was ever very much, but it got me by.
So you spent some time at Branson. Did you ever work at Branson Tourism?
No.
Your son did.
Yeah, you want the story of that?
Basil, yeah.
Okay, I can give you the story.
I want it, yeah.
Okay, in 1995, I was on a plane riding down to Orlando, Florida, to do one of my seminars. I did about 30 weeks of seminars throughout the United States. I mean, I advertised them, I marketed them. If nobody showed up, I was broke. And for about 15 of those years, I was one seminar away from being on the breadline. But anyway, and I opened up this InfoAge magazine, and we're talking about this thing called the World Wide Web. Well, I didn't know what I'd never even sent an email, but I saw it had a picture of a Hyatt hotel in there and making reservations. And I thought, hey, that could be applicable to Branson. Show you how long ago it was. When I walked off the plane, I walked down the aisle, and the payphones were lined up, 20 at the end. Walked up, dialed my son, and I said, son, what's the World Wide Web? Now Basil at that time was operating, he had a big disc out of his house, and he was operating nets for people around. And he kind of chuckled. He says, well, Dad, he said, it's part of the internet. And he knew what I was going to say next. I said, well, what's the internet? He says, that's a network of computers. And I said, well, how does the World Wide Web fit into that? Well, it's one of those things that they handle. I said, what's this thing called a URL?
Yeah.
He says, that's a web address. And I said, well, can you do me a favor? And he's a better son than I deserve. He very graciously said, well, of course. I said, will you go reserve Branson.com if it's not already taken? Mm-hmm. And I said, could you have me set up on the internet by the time I get back next Friday? And he said, well, I'll try, Dad, but he says, you won't be able to do anything to it until I explain to you what it is and how it works. But anyway, we got Branson.com, and at that time, you didn't pay anything to get a URL. It was free. We got it for free. And the rest of it kind of just went from there. We were the first internet site to feature Branson. Not feature Branson, but actively get involved in interactive ticket selling and everything else. I've tried to go back through the records, and using artificial intelligence when I ran it, the best I could get was, we have no definite record, but the first one, the first one was probably Branson.com. Well, between 65 and between 95 and whenever the chamber adopted ExploreBranson.com, which was 3 or 4 years down the pike, we actually furnished them thousands. We actually had a page where people could click on Branson.com, and the only thing we wanted membership in the chamber. And we did that. Now stop me if I'm going to embarrass you.
Well, no, because this is very interesting, because you eventually,
and this is true. I can still remember this. Life always isn't at a point where you have enough money and things got a little tight for both of us. We had enough coming in where we could take care of my side of the family. But things were a little tight, so what we decided to do was go to the chamber, and we offered to give them Branson.com for free. All they had to do was give Basil a job at an appropriate salary. Well, by the time we got through, we walked out of there, and Basil said to me, and you got to understand, he's the opposite of me. He's shy.
Yeah, quite.
He looked at me and he said, Dad, it'll be a cold day in hell before we even sell this to them. Well, 7 months later, we got an offer from Ozark Ticket and Travel. As they say, it was an offer we couldn't refuse. So we sold Ozark Ticket and Travel. Now, can you remember back? It was about November.
What year did you sell the website to them?
I can't remember the exact year, but I can tell you an event that'll put it in perspective. That was the event where the SEC came back because they had sold so many tickets. They sold the tickets, but hadn't paid the vendors, and the SEC came in and seized. And I think because I think your show and about every other show in town bit the bullet and ate all of those. Where you could have just said to those people, "Heck, you're on your own," and resold the tickets.
No, we remember that very well.
You went ahead and
let them come in
and ate those tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, that guy screwed a lot of people.
we won't go into names, but yeah.
Right.
But he did not screw moi. Because moi had gotten screwed 3 times before in business deals, and this time when I put the contract in, I had it. So the SEC was seizing all the only people that got money was Branson.com because they didn't get any rights to it until it had been paid off. Yes. Mm-hmm. So we got paid. Then Lee,
Yeah.
the owner decided he wanted to sell it. And Larry and Leanne were running one of the most successful ticket agencies in Brandon. I think one of the most reputable that's ever been in business.
I agree with that.
And they wanted to buy it. So Lee wanted to sell it to him. But see, Lee couldn't sell it to him, to moi. I had to sign the contract. And I wasn't going to sign the contract because we still had some money due on it. So Larry looks at me in the eye and says, Gary, he says, we know each other. We've gone back a long time, and we had. So against my better judgment, but trusting in Larry and Leanne, I went ahead and signed it. Larry could have screwed me. I mean, he could have taken that and wouldn't have been anything I could have done. Signed it, got our money. I believe Larry bought it from Lee Larshai for $1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now wait, I did not sell it for $1.2 million. I might have wished I had.
Now, see, that I'm glad you said that because the story I always heard and thought was that the old Seagull sold that for $1 million to Larry, and that was your sale. But that's not true.
I had to sign the Lee Larshai had made the sale,
Right.
but I had to sign the conveyance. It wouldn't have gone through if we hadn't signed it.
Right.
But no. Ozark, take your travels.
Yeah.
I get confused.
But Larry paid them $1.2 million.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. I did. We sold it 4 years before that. We didn't make. Let me say we didn't make any. We didn't make within 25,000 of $1 million on it. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, we didn't make within 250,000 of $1 million on it. But but it was a good deal.
Yeah.
It was an arm's length deal, and I had no bitch. Now we did have some service contracts that were built in, and they didn't hurt us too bad.
That's amazing. You Branson.com was you and Basil.
Well, it was mostly Basil.
Yeah.
The content, anybody can write content. Now you can have artificial intelligence write content. But the real genius of Branson.com was the programs that were written to sell the tickets and all that. And to Basil's credit, he was with Larry all those years. When Larry sold it, Welks kept him as the head of IT. Mm-hmm. When Marriott bought his head of IT, the people that bought it now, he's still doing it. He's been involved with Branson.com. And if he played the guitar, they'd have a day honoring him because he's that good at what he's done. Think of the millions of people that his work has brought to Branson.
Yeah.
The millions of dollars that he sold. And yet I'll bet you when they open up that centennial thing that they buried, the name Groman won't be in there. Yeah. It'll be somebody else. Yeah. But Groman will be long dead by then. I won't give a damn.
That is quite a story, man. What's little Basil doing? Your grandson?
My grandson, he works with his mother. Becky manages condo management and cleaning, and the whole family is involved in it. It is truly a family organization. I mean, they're out there every day cleaning, and I forget how many condos. It just boggles my mind the condos they're running. I don't know how they do it.
We used to always love talking to him at the movie theater. Yeah. He's real quiet and shy too.
Yeah, he is. He's very shy.
I
don't know.
Not when Clay's around. He's not allowed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to make him. Remember how I'd go in and mess with him, and he would just kind of smile.
We would get to the door of the movie theater, and you could see Basil's face start to go red because he just knew he was going to be forced to speak.
I'd start hollering, Basil, give me some popcorn, Basil, fix me. And he just kind of scoop up the ice, and
he kind of doesn't get excited, but he doesn't get very excited. He goes at his pace, and it works out fine.
That's why I love messing with him.
It works out fine.
That's awesome. We need to take a little break, and we'll come back with Gary Groman, the old Seagull here, and we'll hear some more stories from him. Clay Cooper Experience. We'll be right back. Yeah, baby. We're back. Clay Cooper Experience, Steph at the controls, the chick in charge, and the old Seagull sitting right over there. And we were just talking about off air about the way the world has changed and jokes and telling stuff like this. And, we saw Jerry Seinfeld 2 weeks ago. We were in Vegas, and he was doing a concert at the Caesar's Palace. Just unbelievable. But I watched a deal on him a couple of months ago. They interviewed him on some news outlet, and he was talking about how tough it is to be a comedian today because of the world is so sensitive. I mean, he's like, you can't, comedy is, no matter how you look at it, comedy is making fun of something or somebody.
Right.
I mean, it just is. I mean, a joke is a joke about something or someone or somewhere or somebody.
And if somebody laughs, they're laughing about it, and that adds further to the offense.
Well, that's right. That's right. Well, for instance, last year we did this whole presidential Jeopardy skit. And we had Colton dressed up as Bill Clinton. Skinner, our dancer, was Abe Lincoln. And then Matt would do Donald Trump. And he does a great Trump.
Right.
Well.
Is that Matt Gum?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The crowd would go, they went crazy. They just laugh and blah, 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 this and that. But every now and then we'd get somebody that was extremely offended that we had Donald Trump in the show. Everything he did was making fun of the way Donald Trump is and portraying Donald Trump. So it wasn't like we were doing a rally of Donald Trump. They never had a problem with us making jokes about making fun of Bill Clinton or the Abe Lincoln stuff, but the Trump thing just triggered them so bad that, and I'm like, well, he's making fun of him and making light of how the way Trump does things and Trumpisms and this and this and that. But you're right. I mean, people are so triggered by certain things that it's like, oh my God, can I say that? Should I say that? Should I not say? Tina gets on to me sometimes for some of the things I say. I'm like, it's just, I don't. What do you do?
The best you can.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, and I think the hard thing too now is that politics are so crazy right now that you almost have to just, when people come to Branson, in my opinion, when people come to Branson, they're coming for a vacation. They don't want to even see any of that. And so that's one of the things that we have to remember too, even in our show, that we have to be careful about. Where it used to be funny and it used to be fun and lighthearted to do stuff like that, to do like the skit. Mm-hmm. Even, I don't know, we did that skit a long, long time ago.
12 years ago.
And it was, people loved it. It was so fun and lighthearted and everything, but just over this decade.
And at that time, Matt was doing Bush because Bush was relevant at the time.
Yes.
Nobody cared. Nobody, we never got emails, how dare you have George Bush up there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just, I don't know.
Percentage-wise, how many people is there? You can't please everybody all the time.
No.
I mean, you got to go for your crowd. And
here's the thing. You're right. If I had 10, 15 people a night complaining about it, then that might be a problem. But if you get one email every 6 weeks, couple of months, I'm not going to pull a whole skit because less than 1% was mad about it.
I mean, if
you
did, you wouldn't have a show.
That's
I
right.
mean, I might not like a song you're singing. I might not
Right.
like a dance. I might say, "Oh, those costumes."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And I used to get really offended about that. I had a lady come up to me one night and she said, she said, I just found out you're going to do the whole second half as Christmas. And I said, well, yes, ma'am, we are. We're going to do Christmas in the second half. This is a Christmas show. We start that November 1st. And you should know that before you even have to come to Branson, because we're Faith Family Flag. We really do celebrate Christmas from November 1st to December 30. It was a couple years ago. But anyway, she said, well, I just don't even think I can sit and listen to that. I don't want to hear any songs about God. And I said, well, in our house, we serve the Lord. And it really got me, because I was like, wow, people really are offended by, it just really shocked me, because knowing where she was in this, it wasn't like she was somewhere that you didn't think that they served or had any faith.
I mean,
It
she did
just-
come to Ozark Mountain Christmas, right?
Exactly.
She come
That's
to
what I'm
a
saying.
Christmas
A
show,
Christmas
right?
show, right.
She does know that the first few letters of Christmas spell Christ, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I rest my case.
See, that's why Gary, I was like, well, maybe you should call Gary Groman. No,
That's hilarious.
but I mean, there are a lot of situations like that now where we have to be careful. I had a lady send in a letter one time talking about how we were dancing in the show to a gospel song and it offended her. For me, I celebrate Jesus with my dancing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's just so, and that offended me, but that wouldn't offend someone else. You know what I'm saying? So just trying to figure out like how to make people happy and knowing that you're not going to make everyone happy. And that's where I sacrifice. Clay's really good at just being like, look, the sound was loud for 3 people. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile, I'm like, God, Chris, maybe we need to sort this out, or maybe we fix this, and maybe we do this so that we can, you know, trying to please every single person. And you really can't anymore.
Can I ask you a question, Tina?
Yeah.
Your show has more dancing and quality dancing than any other show I've seen. What is your background in dancing? How did that happen? It just doesn't happen, does it? How does it happen? How does it happen?
Well, I teach her most of the routines in the living room, and then she
I'm
translates
glad
it.
you said living room. Thank you.
No, my mom was my dance teacher growing up, and then she realized that I was a teenager and I was stubborn, and so she started making me go to other dance studios and learn from other teachers that, you know, would force me to expand in ballet or tap, or, you know, the areas that I really needed to be working on. And I went to lots of dance conventions, and then I went to the University of Oklahoma and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in music theater, which there I loved dancing, and I had a lot of modern dance experience because I don't have the hips for ballet, but I took modern
what?
dance for the hips. My turnout is not beautiful.
Your turnout looks all right to me. I mean, golly.
Yeah, I've got some beautiful dancers in my show.
Wait,
that,
there's the quote of the week. Gary Groman says, "Tina, your turnout looks great to me."
yeah, but yeah, so I didn't have the turnout. I had a lot more modern dance experience, and I'll never forget going in there and going to one of my evaluations, and I was like, you know, you don't really give me a lot of critiques, and he said, you don't want to be a dancer, and I said, but I do want to be a dancer, and he said, but you're a music theater major. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I don't love dance. You know, I want to be a triple threat. I want to be able to go to Broadway or whatever I want to do. And he said, get on that front row and I'll just start yelling at you. And he did. You know, he spent a lot of time hollering at me and getting me, helping me improve and getting some tough skin when it came to dance. And so whenever I graduated, I just started working immediately. And I've just tried to stay up, take classes when I could. I haven't been able to take class now, but I get in the gym a lot. I sit and make myself take classes or just warm up myself, stretching myself, watching videos, trying to constantly keep learning. And I always still stick with a lot of the Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. I just can't get away from the old choreo. You know, I just love it.
Who's the tap guy that you just, Hines, what's his name?
Gregory Hines.
Yeah, that guy.
Baryshnikov. Just getting to watch, I love to watch all those old movies. I love to watch even Dick Van Dyke when he did Mary Poppins. I mean, like, I just love a lot of that old stuff, and I'll just sit and watch it. And
Well, I'm a Bob Fosse guy. You know who Bob Fosse is, Gary?
The foggiest idea.
He was he had a heck of a turnout as well. But,
Oh, did he?
no, he had
I
no
don't care about
turnout.
his.
he did a lot of the he had a lot of weird flowy. Well, how do you say it? Honey? His choreography was, you know, how do you say it?
Oh, folks,
Yeah,
you
actually
can't see this,
small
but if you can see what Clay's doing, you go crazy.
I'm not portraying it well, but
Oh.
how would you describe his choreography?
He had a lot of small and smooth moves.
Small, yeah, close to the hips and arms in and out and stuff like that, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was very cool.
He was very cool. He was very cool.
But you do more than dancing. I mean, the dance is one thing. You're an excellent dancer, but how'd you make the transition to choreography? I mean, it's one thing to have a tool, be skilled in a tool. It's another thing to use that tool to entertain and amaze audiences.
I was fortunate with Country Tonight. Like, Karen Bell actually put some faith in me and was able to let me come in and try choreographing for 1 year, and then it just kind of escalated from that. And I had amazing dancers. I mean, you have dancers like that on your stage that can tumble and can clog and it has jazz experience and ballet experience. And the one thing that I loved when she let me choreograph over there is that I could fit specific numbers to specific dancers. I knew what their talents were, I knew what their skills were, and I could utilize their skills in specific numbers. And that's the same thing, like even in our shows here, you know, with Skinner, there's some things that I can do with Skinner that just, Brian Skinner, he's one of the singers in Hot Rods and High Heels. Uh-huh. And his talents are completely different than Jordan's talents or than Colton's talents, or, you know, so I'm able to utilize some of my dancers in Clay's show, Jen and Kristen, and well, pretty much all of them except for me have really great ballet skill. They're beautiful on stage.
What's that move
and
they
so,
have? What's that move you don't have that they have?
They have the hips.
They have the hips.
They have the hips. They have the turnout.
Turnout, that's what
yeah.
I'm looking for.
And so, you know, I can utilize them in so many different ways. But yeah, I mean, I'm just very blessed to be able to have the dancers that I have here in Branson. I love it when people ask me, well, do you want to go to New York? Nope, I really don't. I am totally content with, of course, they don't ask me that now since I'm older, but that was always the question. Don't you want to go to New York? No, I really don't. I have a family here. I have Jesus. I have incredible cast. We all get along well. We spend a lot of time. And it was just like funny last night. We were talking because we had our show last night, and at the intermission, I look out there, and Kelly and Samantha, our box office managers, are sitting out in the audience watching the show. That's what I love to see, is that on their nights off, they want to come and hang. You know what I mean? That's what means. That's what's special to me.
It's a family deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, we spend a lot of time together and care for one another, and yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it shows. When I come to your show, it shows. And when I bring people, they're just amazed to watch you work the crowd. I used to, when I first saw you, I was just amazed at the way you worked the crowd. Then I went and I had to interview Neil McCoy, and I'd never met him before. Then I saw him perform, and up until right now, I've always said, well, yeah, Clay reminds me of Neil McCoy, but actually, Neil McCoy reminded me of you because the technique he uses, the way you work.
I hope
the
he's
crowd.
listening.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a compliment, because I think Neil McCoy's a great entertainer. And I tell you who else. Have you seen Rick Thomas's show? Rick over here, the magic show. Rick.
Yeah, I've seen Rick's magic show. Yeah, but it was years ago.
Yeah.
That guy works a room like no one I've ever seen.
Yep.
I mean, he gets out. He's not just a illusionist. His rapport with the crowd is. I mean, I'm in awe of him he's just so good at it.
I love this show. I love his magic. They do that one thing where they get up in the air and shit. I mean,
yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing too that makes me proud of our show is just how incredible our band is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're all seasoned. They've all performed with so many different performers, but they're so humble. They go backstage and they just have a great time. And adding Grant Moody into our cast has just been so much fun for all of them. It's just so fun to listen to them relive their memories with Grant, and Grant come back at them.
Now, you ain't going to believe this. We have 10 seconds left.
That sounds about right.
We're going to have you back, Gary.
I look forward to it. Really enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate everything I appreciate your stance and the way you confront things and your writing. Mm-hmm. When you come to City Hall and you get up and speak, I appreciate every bit of that, because, again, you're not afraid of conflict, and a lot of things you say people need to be, at least, even if they don't agree with you, it makes you think, maybe he's got a point there. Or, you know what I mean? It opens up the door for people to go, well, maybe we should look into that.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Remember that next week.
I want to shut you down. It's public.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Thank you so much.
I want to call point of order.
Okay.
Gary Groman, the old Seagull, Clay Cooper, the chick in charge, and Steph. Thank you, darling.